From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting. Originating from the County Administrative Center, located at 1115 Truxton Avenue in Bakersfield, California. Grounded in ideas, energy, and innovation, Kern County's vision is to be a driving force for the world's fifth largest economy. And our mission is to exceed expectations of the communities we serve, changing the way they feel about government, those who manage it, and the services it provides. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Okay, board to reconvene. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Supervisor Peters.
Here.
Supervisor Scrivener.
Here.
Supervisor Flores.
Here.
Supervisor Couch.
Here.
Supervisor Perez.
Here.
Okay, good afternoon and welcome to the Tuesday, December 5th p.m. meeting of the Kern County Board of Supervisors. Before we get started, we'll hear a report from Margot Raison of County Council for any items and action taken in closed session.
Good afternoon, board members. As you know, this morning in closed session, you met on items 30, 31, and 32. Item 32 consisted of two separate items, as noticed on the agenda, and you heard one of them. And on those three items, there is nothing to report. And on the second item listed under item 32, that was continued until after the conclusion of this afternoon's session.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Raison. Okay, at this time, we'll move to the consent agenda. If a member of the audience wishes to comment or ask questions regarding an item on the consent agenda, they may do so prior to a vote being taken. Member of the board may also remove any item from the consent agenda, and it will be considered in listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the board concerning the item before action is taken. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Let me read the consent agenda items first before we go to motion. Starting on page 2, item 3. On page 3, items 4 and 5. On page 4, items 6 through 8. On page 8, items 23 through 30. And on page 9, items 31 through 37. And before I entertain a motion, actually, I want to give the public a chance to come and address any item on consent. Now's the time. Okay, seeing none, actually, we do have one. Okay, please make your way forward.
Hello. My name is Sandra Placencia, that's S-A-N-D-R-A, P-L-A-S-C-E-N-C-I-A, and I'm going to comment on the analysis of impediments.
That is item number 7, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Is now the time to comment? Or okay. Thank you. So thank you for the opportunity to provide comments. I'm a current policy advocate with Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability. We submitted a longer comment earlier to everyone via email that further entails details on my current verbal comments. Kern County's analysis of impediments did an analysis of the barriers Kern County residents face in regards to having access to safe, affordable, and accessible homes. This analysis has failed to provide detailed information on vacancy rates within the county and a complete assessment on fair housing cases and referrals. These incomplete analysis in turn lead to the county not having an accurate assessment of the need for affordable housing and the need for housing attendance and tenant right education. The county must create a more thorough analysis on the analysis of impediments. Ultimately, while we understand the county is still working on their 2024 to 2031 housing element draft, we encourage the inclusion of the following programs and policies that will help in resolving and mitigating the impediments identified in the analysis of impediments. The first one, right to counsel. This would ensure that tenants have access to information and access to an attorney when they're facing an eviction or housing problems. The second one, inclusionary zoning, to facilitate more affordable housing as the county has not met their RENA numbers in the past few years and ensure that affordable housing is equitably provided throughout the county. This is no stranger to us. McFarland has an inclusionary zoning ordinance. A community land trust to ensure homeownership for low-income residents. A rehabilitation of abandoned buildings to curb displacement and homelessness. We currently do not have any shelter shelters except in Arvin and South Kern. And based on the most recent point in time count, there are 1,948 homeless individuals and 1,581 who do not have shelter currently. This is a huge discrepancy and a huge problem. A permanent rental assistance program, the RUP program helped a lot, but it has since ended since last year. And a rent control and just cause ordinance to help stabilize the market and help address overcrowding and overpayment. Including these programs into the housing element will ensure these impediments can over time be eliminated.
Thank you, Ms. Placencia. Can you bring your comments to an end? Thank you.
Yes. Eliminated or overcome, or at least the effects of these impediments can be mitigated, as stated on page 3 of the analysis of impediments. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to continue working on the county with this. Thank you.
And thank you. Next speaker, and this is on consent items only. Yeah, please come forward.
Good afternoon. My name is Amy Shugart. I'm a resident of Tehachapi. It's Shugart. My family's been residents of Kern County for nearly 90 years. I'm speaking regarding the consent item number 3, the vacation of the public easement to the Sheep's Trail. I originally came here to discuss the trash situation that's come to Tehachapi and other places in Kern County. However, I noticed this was on the agenda and it seemed to have snuck in there, and that's pretty upsetting to myself and other residents of East Kern. So initially, a little history regarding the Sheep's Trail. It was a road between the San Joaquin Valley and Tehachapi. It's been used by Indians for centuries. It's been used by Bass shepherds since the 1870s. We've used it by public use land grant. We've had common law right of use for this here road for over 150 years. It's a safety issue. If this road is unable to be utilized by citizens of Tehachapi in the case of emergency, the road's essential for citizens of the Tehachapi area. It may be infrequently used, but it is critical when Highway 58 is closed due to accidents, fires, landslides, etc. The road is used for emergency and necessary medical services when 58 is closed. The most common reason for closure of Highway 58 is accidents. Also, when construction of the truck lanes is about to start, any accidents will only compound the closures exponentially. Many residents utilize critical medical care in facilities in Bakersfield that are not available in Tehachapi. Think chemo, radiation, dialysis. When they have to get to a doctor and Highway 58 is closed, this is their only way. Let us get to the root of the issue. Citizens who live in Tehachapi have enough sense not to use the road during the snowy season. The problem does not lie with the local population's use of the road. I've been told that one of the problems with the road is that semi-trucks attempt to take the road in the snow in order to circumvent freeway closures. Google Maps and other apps recommend this as an alternate route without specialized local knowledge and frankly without any sense at all. Trucks are inevitably stranded, requiring significant county resources to free them. I understand this is a legitimate concern, but it's not one without a solution.
Thank you, Ms. Shugart. You want to bring your comments to a close, please?
Absolutely. Another concern is probably Tajon Ranch wanting no longer to have a public easement through their land. They're a huge multi-million-dollar corporation, but the fact is the citizens of Kern County have had the right to this road for almost 150 years.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, next speaker on consent items only. Please come up.
Well, ladies and gentlemen of the board, county staff, my name is Hugh McMahon. I am Executive Vice President of Real Estate for Tajon Ranch Company. So to speak to the safety of the portion of Comanche Road known as Sheep's Trail, on August 29th of this year, a gentleman driving a pickup truck drove his truck off the road and fell down a 100-foot embankment. This happened on the 29th of August. He wasn't discovered until September 2nd. He was pinned in the wreckage, and thankfully, Kern County Fire, assisted by CHP, was able to rescue him and avoid a tragedy. That's just one example of how dangerous this road can be, is. Ranch's resources over many years have been overtaxed in dealing with illegal dumping, trespassing, discharge of firearms, whether they're poaching or target shooting adjacent to the road, putting people in danger. This road is a real serious concern for the ranch, but primarily with response to safety and the general public traveling on that road. Now, we fully understand the need for fire and public safety to have access to that road in the case of an emergency. And we have agreed that we would install gates to the specifications of fire and Kern County Public Works to get off that road, but they would have Knox boxes. They would be available to be open to fire in case of emergency. And we will work with fire and Public Works to make sure that those gates are in areas that are designated by them to be the best locations for that access. At the same time, we'll also ensure that any public utilities easements that are in place will remain in place, and that any public utility agencies that would need access would have that access. With that, any other questions, I'm happy to respond.
Don't see any yet at this juncture, but if they
Okay.
do, we'll bring you back up.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next speaker again. This is public comment on consent agenda.
Yeah, my name is Richard Knuckles. I'm a resident of Tehachapi, and I just found out about the road closure on Comanche Sheep's Trail. And basically all I want to say is, see the exit signs? Let's just pretend that one's Comanche, and we get rid of it right now. And all you got is that. I haven't been on the Sheep's Trail in probably about 1.5 years, but I know it's there. And we need to keep it open, just to have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knuckle. Okay, next speaker, please. Yep, come on up.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here and letting us protest this trash collection.
Oh, sir, you know,
My name is Gerard
sir,
C. Pearson.
sir, your time will come up when we hear those items in its regular order, but right now, these are different items that are the consent agenda only, but the waste management items, I'll bring you back for public comment when we open the hearing, okay?
Oh, you haven't opened the hearing
Not yet, no, but I'll cue you in when we get to those items.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
Sure, but thank you for coming out. We'll hear from you shortly. Okay. So looks like public comment is over on consent agenda. So I'll move to the board. I think Supervisor Peters would like to make a motion, I believe.
Thank you, Thank you, Chairman. I would motion approval. However, I would like to make a note that regarding item number 28 on the consent agenda, which would approve the contract to construct the skate park in Lake Isabella, that the project documents refer to the skate park as the Linda Kissick Skate Park. But I just wanted to note that in 2016, the board named this future park the George and Darlene Randall Skate Park in honor of their efforts to get this project completed. So going forward operationally, it will be referred to as the George and Darlene Randall Skate Park. I just wanted to make that note. But with that,
Sure.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Supervisor Peters, for that clarification on item number 28. Okay, I have a motion. Okay, second. Okay, please cast your vote.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Now we're on item number 1, public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons to address the board on any matter not on the agenda but under the jurisdiction of the board. Board members may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed. They may ask a question for clarification, make a referral to staff for factual information, or request staff to report back to the board at a later meeting. Also, the board may take action to direct staff to place a matter of business on a future agenda. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes. Please state your name, and this is for regular public comment this time. Yep, thank you.
Terry Kahn, Terikahn. Good afternoon. I am president of the Tehachapi Mountain Dog Fanciers and secretary of the California Federation of Dog Clubs. We oppose establishing a mandatory spay-neuter ordinance for Kern County. We oppose Title 7.08.025 in the ordinance revision. The American Veterinary Medical Association is the nation's leading advocate for the veterinary profession, representing more than 100,000 members. The AVMA develops positions on key issues through science-based, animal-focused core values. The AVMA opposes mandatory spay-neuter of privately owned animals. I will quote from their policy statement. The AVMA does not support regulations or legislation mandating spay-neuter of privately owned, non-sheltered dogs and cats. Although spaying and neutering helps control dog and cat populations, mandatory approaches may contribute to pet owners avoiding licensing, rabies vaccination, and veterinary care for their pets, and may have other unintended consequences. Also, just as for other veterinary medical and surgical procedures, veterinarians should use their best judgment in recommending at what age sterilization should be performed for individual animals, end quote. A one-size-fits-all approach does not fit here. Compare a Chihuahua to a Great Pyrenees. They differ greatly in many things, one of which is rate of maturity. A 6-month-old Chihuahua is almost an adult, but a 6-month-old Pyr is as physically immature as an 8-year-old human girl. Imagine her growing up without a uterus or ovaries. While you are looking at the ordinance revision, please cross out 7.08.025. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Once again, this is just general public comment. We'll get to the waste management items shortly. Any more public comment? Okay, come on down, sir.
How you doing?
Good.
John Ensor, E-N-S-O-R. I currently live in Avila Beach, and there's a big problem with homelessness in SLO County and Kern County. SLO County has probably one of the most revolutionary ideas as far as people housing I've ever seen. And I really think that this county can benchmark off what they're doing. One thing is they have very nice apartment complexes located throughout the county, and that allows them to, and they're being built very cheaply made. My friend lives in one. It's a really good idea. But I've noticed a lot of people in that county also stay in storage units. Now, I came over here because I'm moving back. And one thing is a very simple alternative. I know Kern is one of the best mayors we've ever had, probably one of the best ever in this whole country. But I feel like there's a lot of benchmarking. I have an MBA in marketing. That SLO County has a lot of great ideas for homelessness. And one thing I don't like to see is military homelessness. And I think the Vietnam guys who like to do that have taught me a lot. And so with vets, I think we need to start there. And so I really, it's called people's housing. So God bless you all. And Dave and Zach, good to see you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Ensor. And thank you for sharing that idea. Next speaker, please. Okay, come up, sir. Thank you.
My name is Richard Gomez. I'm out of Boron. I live in 26829 Nugent Boulevard in Boron. I wanted to bring to the attention of the board a very severe problem with the streets out in Boron. Is this the time and place to do that? Okay. Well, from the area from where Boron Avenue to the area of Borax Street, there's a 20 Mule Team Road that crosses. That is really, really, really bad. It has really bad potholes, cracks, and whatnot. I mean, it's suffering from a severe case of tuberculosis. It is really messed up. So what it is it's damaging all the cars, including mine. When I went over there originally 2 years ago, I had a F-150 that was in top shape. It jingles like crazy now because of the potholes, and all they do is come over here and shove some more asphalt in the holes, and that just brings another problem. It jumps all over the bottom of the car. You got to be scraping off all that stuff. That's not the repair. The street needs to be resurfaced, I guess you would call it. It has to be redone. including Boron Avenue and Borax Avenue. And I've called several times to the city to let them know what the problem is, and they just bounce me around from one place to another. They never return my calls. So I'm here trying to bring that to the attention of the board. So maybe something can be done about it, because it's something that really, really needs to be taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Okay, next speaker, please. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on the agenda. Okay, this brings us to item 2, board member announcements or reports. I have one. Monica Nan, are you in attendance right now? Please come on forward. I'll meet you at the podium. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Actually, before I get started, Supervisor Scribner.
Thank you. Before I forget, thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is a work order in for the potholes on 20 Mill Team Road currently. Oh. So just to let you know. Thank you.
Thanks. So let me know.
Good afternoon, board members of the audience. I have with me a very fine young gentleman, Monica Nan, whose story actually starts further back with another young man in our community, Zayden DePina, a local high school student who was at Disney World last year, whose trip unfortunately got cut short. He fell suddenly to pain. He had an injury in his leg, wasn't feeling right. It turned out to be leukemia. They came back to California for treatment, and they're still fighting the good fight. And so, winter comes, we have those days, but also sunshine comes and summer days come. And they come in the form of people that help, like Monik, a local student at Stockdale High School. He heard the news and he rallied to raise money for this other student who succumbed and had their trip canceled. And he raised $4,000 so that the student could go back and complete that trip to Disney World. And it's just a great human interest story, Monik, that you heard the call, you surprised him, you went to his house, you delivered the money, you put a great smile on his face, happiness for his family. And in that vein, I just wanted to thank you on behalf of all our board, Supervisor Perez, Supervisor Peters, myself, Supervisor Scribner, and Couch. We have a special proclamation to give you for your efforts. And maybe you can also tell us a little bit about what you did in your story. And I just want to also commend your parents for rearing you and having a great young man. And this is what makes Bakersfield in Kern County, that we have that special call, special heroes that come to people's help. And it happens 365 days of the year. There's always something happening in Bakersfield and Kern County for a worthy cause. So, Monica, you want to go ahead and say a few words?
First and foremost, I'd like to thank Chairman Flores, as well as the entire board. Wasn't expecting an award. I just saw the story and it was incredibly touching, and so I'm really humbled by this, and I just want to sincerely thank each and every one of you. And I know that within our community, that if not me, it'd be someone else. And so I was just hoping, to inspire other high school students and just know I'm not the only one, who would do something like this. And so it was just, I just sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, you bet. Okay, Okay, so at this time, that brings us to Public Works Department proposed universal collection areas. And items 9 through 22 will be heard concurrently. Mr. Champlin from our Public Works Department, would you please introduce the topic that we'll be considering?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to start out this presentation with a couple things here. I'm going to start out with where we started from earlier this year and where we are today. Our initial proposed universal collection areas that we heard back in May, Public Works presented a plan for the imposition of SB 1383 requirements throughout the unincorporated areas of Kern County at a public hearing on May 23rd. The plan was not approved as submitted due to inclusion of some non-mandated areas and the diverse large-scale grouping structure. The existing UCAs were approved, but with phased implementation. At your board's direction, we removed all non-mandated census tracts, and we restructured the groupings into more unique geographic areas. So our revised universal collection areas. Through the restructuring into the geographic areas and only the mandated census tracts, we concluded with 14 universal collection areas throughout the county. And here's just an overview of the mapping of where these universal collection areas were proposed. So the fee structure for the Kern County solid waste is such that the fee is paid directly to the franchise haulers for residential users on the tax roll. We also collect what's called the solid waste administration fee, and this pays for the county's time to administer contracts and handling of the franchise hauler agreements. This fee is on the property tax bill for residential purposes, while other uses such as commercial and voluntary services are paid directly to the hauler. I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about Proposition 218. Proposition 218 is a law, California law, that requires the approval prior to the imposition or increase of assessments or property-related fees as they are on the tax roll. Today, we will be conducting 14 protest hearings. If the opposition to any fee is 50% plus one vote, then these rates cannot be approved by your board. Public Works mailed 12,464 notices through the United States Postal Service to property owners regarding the establishment of the 14 universal collection areas and the required solid waste collection service levels that were set at 3-cart service. This will be proposed for the fiscal year 24-25 solid waste fee to be added to property taxes. Public Works held 15 public information meetings throughout the county throughout this time that we informed the public. Information on the proposals was published in newspapers throughout the county, various social media outlets, and the Public Works website. And then this is just the process of how protests are received by the county. The protests are received by the clerk of the board's office. They're date stamped, they're scanned, reviewed, and distributed to the Board of Supervisors, the County Council, CAO, and Public Works. When Public Works receives these, we verify and tally the protest. And what's involved in this is we check for property owners and signatures, we check the address for inclusion into the UCA that's being protested, and we verify reasons why protests may have been excluded. This time I'd like to turn it back over to the chairman for agenda items number 9 through 22.
Thank you, Mr. Chaplin. Okay, so we'll be combining agenda items 9 through 22 since they are functionally equivalent for the process, so they'll be heard concurrently in one hearing, but treated separately for voting purposes. So I'll commence. This is the time and place for the public hearing to consider the proposed resolutions establishing service levels for boundaries and the proposed ordinances establishing the schedule of solid waste collection charges for fiscal year 24-25 and providing for collection of the same on the tax roll for residential properties. These items are for the following: Kern River UCA, Universal Collection Area, McFarland UCA, Tehachapi UCA, Mojave UCA, Fraser Park UCA, Boron UCA, Ridgecrest UCA, Rosamond UCA, Arbin UCA, Delano UCA, Northwest Metro UCA, Outer Metro UCA, Outer Taft UCA, and the Shafter-Wasco UCA. Mr. Champlin, you want to go ahead and continue your presentation?
Thank you, Chairman Flores. This portion of my presentation is going to focus on the proposals as recommended by staff when we set these hearings. So, beginning with agenda item number 9, the Kern Valley Universal Collection Area. The hauler is Thomas Refuse. The proposal is to establish an area and set a new 3-cart service level of 240 gallons per unit for residential units, adopt schedule of solid waste collection charges for fiscal year 24-25. The proposed rate is $559.80 per year per residential unit, with a total of 1,681 residential parcels. Agenda item number 10, the McFarland Universal Collection Area. The hauler is American Refuse. The proposal is to establish an area and set a new 3-cart collection service or 240 gallons per unit for all residential units and adopt the schedule of solid waste collection charges for fiscal year 24-25, the proposed rate of $528.96 per year per residential unit with a total of 12 residential parcels. Agenda item number 11, the hauler is Waste Management. The proposal is to establish an area and set a new 3-cart service level or 240 gallons per unit for all residential units and adopt schedule of solid waste collection charges for fiscal year 24-25 with a proposed rate of $559.80 per year per residential unit with a total of 451 residential parcels. Agenda item number 12, Mojave Universal Collection Area. Hauler is Waste Management. The proposal is to establish an area and set a new 3-cart service level of 240 gallons per unit for all residential units and adopt a schedule of solid waste collection charges for fiscal year 24-25. The proposed rate of $559.80 per year per residential unit with a total of 955 residential parcels. Agenda item number 13, Fraser Park Universal Collection Area. The hauler is Mountainside Disposal. The proposal is to establish an area and set a new 3-cart service level or 240 gallons per unit for all residential units and adopt schedule of solid waste collection charges for fiscal year 24-25. The proposed rate is $559.80 per year per residential unit with a total of 1,681 residential parcels. Agenda item number 14, Boron Universal Collection Area. The hauler's Waste Management. Proposal is to establish an area and set a new 3-cart collection level or 240 gallons per unit for all residential units and adopt schedule of solid waste collection charges for fiscal year 24-25. The proposed rate is $559.80 per year per residential unit with a total of 844 residential parcels. Agenda item number 15, Ridgecrest Universal Collection Area. The hauler's Waste Management. Proposals to establish an area and set a new 3-cart service level or 240 gallons per unit for all residential units and adopt schedule of solid waste collection charges for fiscal year 24-25. The proposed rate of $559.80 per year per residential unit with a total of 2,134 residential parcels. Agenda item number 16, Rosamond Universal Collection Area. Hauler's Waste Management. The proposal is to establish an area and set a new 3-cart service level or 240 gallons per unit for all residential units and adopt schedule of solid waste collection charges for fiscal year 24-25. The proposed rate is $559.80 per year per residential unit with a total of 4,244 residential parcels. Agenda item number 17, Arvin Universal Collection Area. The hauler is Lamont Sanitation. The proposal is to establish an area and set a new 3-cart service level or 240 gallons per unit for all residential units and adopt schedule of solid waste collection charges for fiscal year 24-25. The proposed rate is $368.64 per year per residential unit with a total of 89 residential parcels. Agenda item number 18, Delano Universal Collection Area. The hauler is South Tulare Rich Grove Refuse. Proposal is to establish an area and set a new 3-cart service level or 240 gallons per unit for all residential units and adopt a schedule of solid waste collection charges for fiscal year 24-25 with a proposed rate of $528.96 per year per residential unit, the total of 120 residential parcels. Agenda item number 19, Northwest Metro Universal Collection Area. Hauler is American Refuse. Proposal is to establish an area and set a new 3-cart service level or 240 gallons per unit for all residential units and adopt schedule of solid waste collection charges for fiscal year 24-25. The proposed rate of $528.96 per year per residential unit with a total of 29 residential parcels. Agenda item number 20, Outer Metro Universal Collection Area. Hauler is Howard's Garbage, Price Disposal, Varner Brothers, and Superior Sanitation. The proposal is to establish an area and set a new 3-cart service level or 240 gallons per unit for all residential units and adopt a schedule of solid waste collection charges for fiscal year 24-25. Proposed rates $368.64 per year per residential unit with a total of 71 residential parcels. Agenda item 21, the Outer Taft Universal Collection Area, the Hauler's West Side Waste Management. The proposal is to establish an area and set a new 3-cart service level or 240 gallons per unit for all residential units and adopt a schedule of solid waste collection charges for fiscal year 24-25. The proposed rate is $528.96 per year per residential unit with a total of 67 residential parcels. Agenda item number 22, Shafter Wasco Universal Collection Area, the Hauler's American Refuse. Proposal is to establish an area and set a new 3-cart service level or 240 gallons per unit for all residential units and adopt schedule of solid waste collection charges for fiscal year 24-25. The proposed rate is $528.96 per year per residential unit with a total of 86 residential parcels. And now I just want to speak a little bit about protests that have occurred prior to this meeting before we move to the public comment section. So agenda items number 9 through 14, we know these to have a sufficient amount of protests prior to this board hearing today. So what does this mean? This means in accordance with Proposition 218, proposed rates cannot be approved by this board with a successful protest hearing. So knowing these to be successful precludes this board from enacting those on those UCAs today. So an ordinance will no longer be required and a resolution, we will be submitting a substitute resolution to your board for approval.
And Mr. Champlin, thank you for that clarification. That's very important for those who are attending from any of these areas. You reference numbers, but can you reference the names so people can put that together?
Certainly. We have a slide here for you.
Okay, thank you.
So agenda items 9 through 14. So these are all known successful protests prior to today's board hearing. I'll just run through them very quickly here. Boron needed 423 protests to successfully protest. They received 423. Frazier Park needed 842. We've received 853. Kern Valley needed 842. We have received 893. McFarland needed 7. We received 11. Mojave needed 479. We received 547. And Tehachapi needed 227, and we received 240. And so with this, I'd like to turn it back to the chairman for public comment and public hearing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chaplin.
How about Roseman?
No. We'll get to Roseman, but no, that was not included in the successful protest. Okay, now is the time for the public hearing and comment. If there are any property owners who wish to file a written protest regarding the rates or the placement of those charges on the tax roll for any of the 14 agenda items, please come forward to file those now with the clerk of the board. We're still receiving them before the public hearing is closed. Prop 218 provides that all protests received after the close of the hearing will not be considered. Are there any more protests in writing? Please come down and file them at this time. And Kathy can meet you.
Any other protests to be filed?
I didn't get one for, I guess it's Roseman maybe?
Here.
Sign it?
Yeah, sign it, put your address on it.
Yeah, if you'll sign it, include your address and print your name, and you can submit it to me. Make sure it says Roseman. Make sure it sir, make sure you write Rosamond on this.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
That means Rosamond didn't have enough signatures to be on the agenda?
Not on the preliminary. We're going to discuss, we're still counting some votes, so we're going to discuss that later. So stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll have some updates. They're actually counting right now in an adjacent room. Okay, so I think we're pretty good. Okay, so now I'll open the hearing and receive comments from any interested persons regarding any of these areas. Again, the board will individually vote on the items at the conclusion of the comment period, but now is the time for public comment on any of the 14 agenda items. Please come forward.
Hello, my name is Scott Toland, Toland. I live in Lake Isabella. I'm sorry, I'll get closer to the mic. My website is krvtrash.org. I've spent the last 6 months or so working with the community, in the community, on this issue. I've talked to hundreds, maybe thousands of people. I've been down every street in my area. Me and my cohorts have spent thousands of hours working on this. We know the community, we understand the community. I think we understand what it needs. And first of all, before I begin, I'd like to thank Lisa Schroeder. She was very, very helpful in our process. We could not have done it without her assistance. She was very responsive to providing the information that we needed. I have 4 quick things to say. I hope I can get through them all. Number one, clearly the people have spoken to the county. The takeaway from this is that the people do not want mandatory trash collection in rural areas of Kern County, full stop. We can talk about recycling, we can talk about composting, that's all fine. Mandatory trash collection is dead, okay? People leave cities and they live in the country for reasons, and they like to do things their own way. So taking care of their trash is one of those things. I want to put the county on notice. I was here 6 months ago with this message. I'm here again. I don't want to be here 6 months from now with the same message, okay? I don't want the county to repackage the same proposal and put a new label on it with a county ordinance or a direct billing system or something like that. Universal collection, as far as the people in rural Kern County are concerned, is dead. Take it out of your vocabulary, please. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Toland. Your time's elapsed. Do you want to make a closing sentence?
Yes. I would like to see the county work more closely with the people of rural Kern County to develop future proposals. We want to work with the county. We just need the opportunity.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next speaker, please. Come on up, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Gerard C. Pearson. I live in Tehachapi. I have a 5-acre ranch on Rudolph Drive. My parcel number is 22-420-10-00-9. This is insanity. First of all, trash collection fees on property taxes are illegal according to the IRS. IRS.
Please no clapping. Let him speak.
IRS topic number 503, which explains what taxes are deductible. You put this on our property tax bill, you are jeopardizing every citizen of Kern County to violate IRS laws and be subject to audits. Not only that, $559.80. Couple of issues. Why the 80 cents? Okay. Second of all, it's the largest single item on our property taxes. And it was not voter approved. It is not ad valorem tax. It's not ruse.
Belarus.
There's 3 different items on the tax bill, and they're all voter approved. But you're jeopardizing every citizen in this county to violate IRS laws.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson.
No, I'm not done.
Well, we have a 2-minute time limit, and this is a formal public hearing. We're going to be stick by the rules, but I'll let you finish your sentence.
I think you ought to reconsider. Second of all, it requires 2/3 vote of the supervisors to approve this. 2/3 vote requires 4 supervisors to approve. 4 supervisors is...
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
80%.
It's for this vote, and you reside in Tehachapi?
Yes.
So you're going to be okay?
What do you mean I'm going to be okay?
Mr. Chairman?
No, I mean, with a successful protest.
That's temporary.
Mr. Chairman?
Supervisor Couch.
Can I ask, can you ask our staff to explain that slide one more time?
Sure.
That showed all the UCAs that
Yeah.
obtained a successful protest?
We showed a slide early of all the successful areas that had a successful protest, but I'm going to have Mr. Champlin go through that once more.
But that's not the point. The point is
your public comment is over. You have exceeded 2 minutes.
I don't care.
I have the floor.
Kick me out.
I'm not going to kick you out. I have the floor right now, and I'm asking my director to put up a slide. Afford me that. Mr. Champlin.
You're violating
I'm
laws.
not violating anything. I want to hear from the director.
Well, just to recap. Chairman Flores, for your clarification on this, all of these UCAs that you see here on the left side of your screen, these have all already been successfully protested. 6 of the 14 that we're going to be hearing today have been successfully protested, which under 218 law states that this board cannot enact these fees on the property tax.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
My name is Richard Gomez out of Boron. I live at 26829 Nugent Street. I'm sorry. So I'm here to talk about the UCA Boron. I was in 218. I have with me 423 verified signatures, a copy, of course, that we've already been submitted. We already know that. I also submitted some more just as I got here, which are probably not counted yet. But I did want to bring to the attention of the board that we actually turned in 601 total that disapproved with this proposition. I myself went door to door. Several other people assisted me with doing another door to door. But we always kept a track of how many people approved of it. Well, we only had 3 undecided people who did not want to sign out of 601. And even if you use the 423 verified signatures, that brings us to a 99% disapproval in Boron. So what I'm saying is that, similar to what the older gentleman said earlier, you can't repackage this and bring it back to us, on a different platter and expect us to approve of it. We have a very strong disapproval in that area. So I would think about that before they redo it again. That's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Nancy Ewert, and I'm a resident of Kern County. I would like to start off by noting that you are limiting speakers to 2 minutes. Under the Brown Act, the county can limit speakers, but they have to have a written policy or ordinance. I have verified that the county does not have that. Therefore, Robert's Rules of Order carry, which says you can limit speakers to 3 to 5 minutes. I've scripted my comments, and they will be just over 3 minutes. In September, the Public Works Department requested your board set today as the protest date to set solid waste collection fees for 14 independent universal collection areas. Josh Champlin, Public Works Director, indicated that the department was under an SB 1383 compliance order by CalRecycle. The department provided no comprehensive written work plan describing options and potential solutions. Rather, Director Champlin indicated that the department had chosen the proposed level of service, which Supervisor Peters correctly identified as a one-size-fits-all solution. The item before you today potentially impacts all items today for just over 40,204 residents or 12,264 residential units with an impact of over $7 million. Residents in the rural areas could be paying approximately 50% more than residents in the urban areas for the same level of service. Reasonable alternatives need to be evaluated and provided. SB 1383 regulations do not mandate a one-size-fits-all collection program. Quoting from the CalRecycle webpage, single-family residents and multifamily complexes are provided the opportunity to self-haul organic waste to an approved facility. Thankfully, the county already has the ideal model to provide this for this self-haul service, which is appropriately called alternate universal collection services. On
Thank
May
you, Ms.
10th of
Ewert.
2021,
We don't use Robert's rules at this board, and we do go by a 2-minute comment period. Do you want to bring your comments to a close, please?
Sir, you really have to have a written policy, and you do not have a written policy or ordinance.
We don't use Robert's rules in this body, and we do use
The
2
Brown
minutes.
Act requires you
We
to
use
have
2
that limit.
minutes for every hearing, every meeting for decades. So would you please wrap up I'll let you finish your last sentence and your last thoughts.
I will try to be as succinct as possible.
Thank you.
California adopted SB 1383 in September of 2016. CalRecycle developed the regulations by 2020 to be operative 2022, to begin enforcement in 2024. The Public Works Department, as the implementing agency, has had 7 years to analyze, develop, inform, and prepare the general public for policymakers. They brought this down to the wire, creating a crisis.
Okay, thank you.
This
Thank you,
situation
Ms. Ewert.
simply cannot be dismissed or excused.
Thank you. At this time, I also have county counsel that's punched in. Ms. Raison, would you like to say something?
Thank you,
I'm
Chair.
submitting my comments in writing.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Flores. I would like to just point out that in the Kern County Board of Supervisors Administrative and Procedural Rules for the proceedings of the Board of Supervisors, under Rule 5, the caption is Meeting Decorum. Section A, subsection 1, it says limitation on time. In the interest of facilitating the business of the board, the chairman, in the exercise of reasonable discretion, may, 1, limit the time that each person may use in addressing the board. And at Rule 20 in the same document, which I understand are online on your website, under public presentations, Section A says individual speakers may be limited to 2 minutes at the discretion of the chairman.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Raison, for that clarification. Next speaker, please.
Yeah. Deborah McClanahan, registered voter, Rosamond. I'd like to read something from Proposition 218, which is for the voter approval for local government taxes, limitations on fees, assessments, and charges, initiative constitutional amendment. In one of the sections of this, it says, proposed requirements for properly related fees. This measure would restrict local government's ability to charge property-related fees for water, sewer, and refuge collection service properly met the measure's definition of a property-related fee. Gas and electric fees and fees charged to land developers are specifically exempt. It also goes on to read that owner's vote would count twice as much as a homeowner's vote. I noticed that when these ballots were sent out, they were sent out purely to property owners. 218 includes renters as well. I'd like to read Section 2 of Article 13C, voter approval for local tax levies, Section 1 through 3. I'm going to read 2. Local government tax limitation. Notwithstanding any other provision of this Constitution, all taxes imposed by any local government shall be deemed to be either general tax or special taxes. Special purpose districts or agencies, including school districts,
Thank you, Ms.
shall
McClain.
have no
Thank
power
you.
to levy general taxes.
Thank you. And Josh,
No local
Josh, will you make
government may
some notes of some of these so we can come
impose,
back
extend, or increase any general
and address
tax
some of the questions?
Unless and until that
Thank you,
tax-
ma'am. Thank you. Can you please bring your comments to a close? I got a whole line of 2 minutes each, and it's queuing up.
Will do, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. No local government, let me, thank you for
Yeah, and
distracting
staff,
me.
and
Let me
staff
get
is
back to
making,
my point.
yeah, and staff is making some notations so we can answer some of your questions when it's back to our presentation. So,
Okay. Just to let you know that.
ma'am, please, next speaker, please.
Okay.
Thank you. I know we're all passionate, but we got to give people time.
My name is Mark Machusik, and my property's up at Lake Isabella. I was going to talk about all of the commitments people are going to have to make to fix this, the cost of the trash proposal, but since we beat this out here so far, my big issue on it was signing of a private company's cost using the government as the collection mechanism. It's completely not appropriate. Even though we won by a technicality here, this shouldn't even be a proposal by government. You're acting as the collection mechanism for a private company and the bidding of contracts, and that's not a right way to go. I think it's also unconstitutional, both state and federal. But what I'm going to address here is from a different point of view. This is what was going to be my last point, but since everybody else has already brought up a lot of this about the tax part of it, the actual environmental side of this is flawed from the get-go. I'm a former board member of Echo Home Network, Solar Homes of the Future. I'm an advisor for businesses on the environmental side of things. And when you have the three garbage can or collection bins, one of them is the one for composting. And one of the big problems in not just Kern County, but all over the state now is that a species of plant that's called a goat head. They're all over the place. If you put these in a recycle bin and then compost them, it does not kill those seeds unless you're doing some kind of burn, which goes against the environment. So that's not going to work. What we do up at Kern, like what I do on my property, I literally pick those weeds out separately and I burn those weeds so the seed pod is gone. Those one seed will have up to 50 to 100 different seeds in it. The plant seed can last from anywhere from 8 to 15 years. This is a contagion beyond belief. So when you're aggregating everything into the garbage can or the recycle bin or the composting bin, and supposedly composting it, you're not killing those seeds. And I have a sample for all you guys if you want to look at it later. I don't need it back or anything like that. But these are two different kinds of weeds. One is the goat head. Right here, this is notorious. It's actually all over this area here too. And this, I don't even know what it is, but this thing has spines that go. These will puncture bicycle tires.
Thank you.
They stick in your shoes.
Thank you, sir.
You guys,
you want to keep that for the
you guys
clerk?
can have
Sure.
this. I'm going to put it back in this thing because you literally puncture your skin.
Yeah, I'd like to see that myself, actually.
So that you guys have to talk to your environmental director about this whole philosophy of the composting. It won't work.
Thank you. Supervisor Peters.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chairman.
We good?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt public comment for just a second. I get that there's a lot of issues with this. I'm not in favor of this myself, but I did want to clarify a couple of things. And that's some of the issues that we've been hearing about taxes and how that works. And I think there's some misunderstanding in that regard. I mean, tax dollars go to pay private companies to build roads, to do all kinds of things in the county. But I wanted to see if our county council would like to share a little bit more about the county's justification for that.
Thank you, Supervisor Peters.
Supervisor Peters, through the chair, I'm going to ask Deputy County Counsel Philip Hall to weigh in on that specific question.
Supervisor, through the chair, let's understand something. This isn't a general tax. It's not an assessment either. It's a fee. It's collected by statute through the property tax roll and collected on property taxes. And that's done because there's a lot less mailing to be done that way. That means the costs are there. So rather than having to mail a bill and pay a stamp every single month, it goes out once. That's a savings.
Excuse me. We don't interrupt when anybody's speaking. Please let County Counsel's office finish. Thank you.
That's a savings that the department has determined is it's significant. I mean, if you just think about stamp, mailing, paper, every single month versus the one. So it's collected on the tax roll that way. By collecting it on the tax roll, you have to have a 4/5 vote today. If we didn't collect it on the tax roll, it would be a 3/5 vote today to impose these fees. That's the reason why it's a 4/5 vote, is because it's on the tax roll. And it's allowed by a health and safety code section. It is not a property tax. It is a fee that is collected on your property with your property taxes. It's collected with them. It's not a property tax. But also, this is a fee that is property related. That is what 218 is. 218 is a property related fee. It's related to your property. It's for a service for your property. And that's why there is this more in-depth process that we do on these fees that was adopted by Howard Jarvis Association through a proposition in 1996. So that's where we're at and how we got here. And
And just one more thing, just for the purposes of fee collection, if it was a fee that was collected in any other manner, what would that mean ultimately for homeowners? I mean, not talking about the cost of mailing or anything like that, but the actual ramifications of, say, not paying the fee. What would that change if it was done differently?
So that adds two things that I should add a little bit further. So first, if you do not collect a fee, let's say you don't collect you don't pay your water bill, which is collected by them mailing it out to you. They can put that on your taxes. They do a tax lien. There's a tax lien process where they will then get that through the tax roll, through your property taxes. They can collect it that way. That's the tax lien aspect of it. But this process that you're doing today, it's not just the mailing. It's the whole collection side that doesn't happen internally in the hauler at this point every month, where they have to collect, do all the process of collecting the multitudes of checks that they receive for each person's monthly service. It's instead one payment, and that's a substantial savings. One of the areas out here we're looking at is Ridgecrest, and I know Ridgecrest now does billing, and they raised their bills to do that process. They made that choice a while back. So within the past few years, Ridgecrest has gone from tax roll from billing to tax roll back to billing, and it's increased their rates.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that indulgence, Chairman.
Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Mary Hines. I am a resident, registered voter of Roseman. And I spent 22 hours a day collecting signatures from homeowners, from renters, because it does affect all of us. Last count, what I just turned in this morning, because I picked up the last sheet this morning, was 2011. That's not counting what the county has. Apparently, it's about 1,700. And what we needed was 2,123. We ended up with 3,700 and 10. So what I'd like to say is that Roseman people are mad. We're upset. We don't want our homes to become someone's commodity in any of this. I do not have trash service because I pay for it on my property taxes already. I go to the dump twice a month if needed. I haul it myself. With the way inflation is now, we can hardly make it from one paycheck to the next. And we can't do this. We can't do this to the people of Roseman or Kern County or anybody else. We have fixed incomes that can't afford this fee. We have our veterans. We have retirement people. We have people on disability. And we have me, who works 40+ hours a week. And with inflation going up, gas, utilities, groceries, I can't afford to get to the next paycheck. And it's just gotten to be out of control. We put you people here to support us, to back us, to do what's right for the people. And we're not seeing that right now. We've called Mr. Scribner's office numerous times to speak with him and get a one-on-one with him. He won't call us back.
Thank you, Ms. Hines.
Everyone
Ms. Hines,
is affected by this, including renters.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Your time's elapsed. I want to get to the next speaker, okay?
But we did make it.
Thank you.
Roseman made it.
Thank you. And we're still tabulating, just so you know.
My name is Richard Molia, M-O-G-L-I-A, 2917 Clare Street in Lake Isabella. I have a question for the gentleman who just told us about the justification for the fees, which I think is compost, but answer this question later on your time, not mine. What happens if we don't pay the $500 and something on the property tax? Are we going to get a lien on our house from that? Because a fee shouldn't have a lien on your house unless somebody else puts it on privately. That's another issue. This whole thing stinks because the state of California has missed every deadline so far that they had to meet to put this thing into action. The plants that they were going to use to convert, quote, the methane gas into something they could put in the cars and that, they don't have anymore. They only had them when they gave a tax break. The state is not going to meet any of the goals that they required. You need to just sit on this stuff until they come up with some reason to make it work. On the property tax bills, 5 years without any voter approval of raising fees, it goes up and up and up. We're already paying $170 for land use fee, which is for the transfer station. Now you're going to put $560 on top of that. That comes to $700 to get rid of my trash, not $566. You should take off the $170 if we're going to have to use this program. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay. Next speaker.
How's it going? My name is Mike Masseri. I'm a resident of Fraser Park. Looks like we got it, so that's good. But please keep my words in mind, for your next proposal to fix this. On May 23rd, when Supervisor Peters asked Public Works Director Joshua Champlin why these trash fees were set up to go on our property taxes, Champlin replied, "If it was voluntary, there would be no way to control whether the people pay for the service or discontinue the service. It is very hard to control." The average individual income of Bakersfield is just over $30,000 a year. In Fraser Park, that number is almost 30% less. On average, individual income is just over $20,000 a year. Obviously, there are some individuals making much more than that, but there are also folks making much less. For almost 2 months, myself and other volunteers have spoken with hundreds, if not thousands, of mountain residents about this trash tax, and the overwhelming majority of residents are opposed to it. I've met individuals at our local VFW who are disabled veterans on a fixed income. They can't afford this, and they take their small amount of garbage to the dump for free. I'm friends with residents who have lived here for over 30 years, and they're now on Social Security. They can't afford this, and they take their small amount of trash to the dump for free. The state can put a lien on their homes if they cannot afford to pay this new increased property tax. I spoke with one gentleman who comes to Fraser Park once a month to take his elderly mother's trash to the dump for her because she cannot afford trash service. Even if she could afford it, she cannot physically wheel a 100-pound can to the curb. Other residents told us that at the end of the month, they only have $12 left. These are just a few examples of the hundreds of similar stories I've heard. I've lived in the mountain community for a good amount of time now, and the fact that some of my friends can potentially lose their homes over a service they can't afford and do not need is why I spent the last 6 weeks successfully fighting this. The disabled Vietnam veteran on a fixed income and the white-haired lady who can't physically take her trash to the street are the people Champlin wants to control, and we will continue to fight to make sure they are not bullied. We are not Bakersfield. We're a quiet small town tucked 4,500 feet up into the mountains. Policy that may work in Bakersfield doesn't automatically work in Fraser Park. There was not enough due diligence done, and that is obvious. Perhaps in the future, someone will spend a few days in our mountains before making these sweeping decisions.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Sherry Trainer. I live in Fraser Park, and I helped to spearhead our protest letter campaign. I've met hundreds of people over the last 2 months. I've listened to their anger and talked to them about the reasons we don't need this in our community. I've watched the last meeting, so I know you're aware this is not feasible for us. For our population in Fraser Park of retired, disabled, and veterans who are on a fixed income, as well as those living in poverty, and the hardship these fees would create. Our private trails are narrow and steep, and the trucks cannot even navigate them, to which your proposed solution is for our aforementioned elderly and infirm to haul bins totaling 240 gallons up and down eroded trails to a designated spot the trucks can reach, which will make our already difficult to drive trails even more so, while giving our neighboring bears access to a weekly smorgasbord, which will also spread more trash around our mountain. Mostly, I want you to understand our community has our trash handled. Our dump is close. It has an organic waste bin. Our waste is separated by type, so those who self-haul are covered in that area. You've heard we compost and we use our scraps for animals. Our recycling center is close and easy, where we take our glass bottles and cans. There are many people on our mountain who generate 1 to 2 bags of trash a month and certainly do not need a 3-bin system. In Fraser Park, we must be responsible with our trash. We don't need the state to mandate us to do so. At our elevation, we have been given the waiver to not separate our organic waste, so why is it that we have to change anything we are currently doing? Why is this fee going on our property taxes so our residents and our beautiful town will lose their homes if they cannot afford it? And let me make it clear, many will lose their homes they've worked their whole lives to secure. I understand you're in a hard place with the state of California and SB 1383, but I also believe it's your responsibility to protect Kern County residents. I'm not sure what that looks like, but I'm willing to work with you and to be a voice for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Trainer. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Cheely. I'm from Fraser Park, and I'm just going to take a couple of seconds. Everybody in our community rallied together. I went door to door. I spoke to a lot of elderly people that could barely afford their property tax as it is. I met numerous people that make $956 a month on Social Security. They're very poor. I can afford this. I am totally pro saving the planet, but this is the wrong way to go about it. Putting it on our property tax? By the time I get to Social Security, I'm going to be one of those people losing my house. I assure you. I don't have a pension. I've looked at my Social Security online. I'm going to get like $1,700. Really? Money doubles every 10 years. I am 53. I am going to have to work until the day I die just to make my mortgage and especially my property tax. So I'm not homeless. This is wrong. You guys have to help us.
Thank you, Ms. Cheely. Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Jill Curtis. I'm from Lake of the Woods. I have known Mr. Scribner for at least 25 years, whether he remembers me or not. Mr. Couch, I have worked with you and different things in the community. I originally came down here to raise Cain. I was infuriated. But I did watch the 4 hours and 16 minutes of the May 23rd meeting, and I want to applaud you all for supporting us because you guys really rallied. And as you know, the road conditions and different things is one of those trucks going on one of the dirt roads busts the water pipes. We have constant water pipe breakage. The destruction to the paved roads is another thing, because there's going to be, 3 trucks, who knows how often. So I wanted to thank you for recognizing that, and the financial burden that it would put on everybody, pretty much. I did have a question regarding the former employee that questioned, Kern County employee that questioned the $1 million that Mr. Couch was going to look into. It was regarding the administrative costs. Why were they going to get to $1 million? And then I also wanted to comment about our hearing that we had our community hall. It was total chaos. There were no speaker systems in use, although they are in the building. There was no organization, and that was really unfair to many people that wanted to speak, that were unable to speak, and the shouting and whatnot. So a little more control should be done on that.
Thank you, Ms.
Also,
Corliss.
Mr. Scribner, I would appreciate it if you put more time and more effort into the community of Fraser Park,
Ma'am,
because
thank you.
you have been void.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Sharon Giroux from Ridgecrest, California. I first would like to thank Lisa. She's been very helpful in giving us information and helping us understand this new law. We are, unfortunately, one of the communities that, while we tried, our 6 little volunteers only got about 500 protests. In spite of not reaching a successful protest, we are asking that you vote no on this proposal. We as a community have a unique, I believe, situation in our valley in that we have county residents living literally right next door to city residents. Our city residents are getting bi-monthly trash pickup for $25.88 a month. This would be double the cost. The guy right next door that's across the county line would be paying double for the trash collection. We also have a very strange, well, not strange, unique community out there in that there are 3 distinct zones. We have these 5204, 5402, 5406, and 5408 could be considered urban or city population because they're all right next to each other, small within the city. We have 5407 and 5410 who are mostly low income, seniors, older homes, but on large properties. And then we have our monster, which is 5509. It is 46 square miles. If you take out the 887 people that are the city of Ridgecrest under the city of Ridgecrest jurisdiction, we should be very close to a 75 person per square mile population. We believe you should go back and look at 5509 to see if it qualifies as a waiver due to the low density. Even if it doesn't qualify for low density, the Cal Recycle has said they will review requests for letting it be low density based on the makeup of the community. We feel strongly that we understand you all are between a rock and a hard place. You have your corrective action plan that Cal Recycle has given you that you have to meet. But if you work with us and let us kind of be partners with our community, we can show you the areas that can get on board and the areas which we're really going to be wasting our time trying to go out back. And there's some places I'd like to take you, Mr. Peters, to visit for trying to collect trash out there in a safe way that Waste Management won't end up losing a truck.
Thank you, Ms. Giroux.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Jack Layla, L-E-L-A-H. I'm a Kern County resident as of 32 years. I live in Pine Mountain Club, and I also own a commercial facility in Fraser Park. Happy with the numbers on the graph. Being that my property in Fraser Park is commercial, I was not able to vote, so I thought I would come down and speak. I did view some of the previous meeting, and unless I'm mistaken, I'm really surprised that there's no talk or written information in regards to wildlife with this proposal. The numbers have not been tallied yet in Pine Mountain Club for the month of November. Up until September, we already have close to 90 break-ins into homes from bears. So, that being said, I cannot see how trash cans with food waste or compost would be safe in our mountain community. We don't live close to the mountains, we live in the mountains. Bears have the keenest sense of smell of any land animal. They can smell frozen food inside of a freezer a half a mile away. They can smell a dead animal or food waste in a bin from 18 miles away. So I think that this is putting wildlife and humanity in grave danger with having trash bins outside of homes, besides it being unsightly. I've driven 80% of the dirt roads in Fraser Park. I don't even see how a trash truck is going to navigate those roads. Some of them come to a dead end. There's no room for the trash truck to even turn around. Asking people to bring their bins down to a certain location, I know for a fact, just like it's been spoken here today, there are many elderly people in Fraser Park who would not be able to navigate a bin down some of these roads, let alone what's going to happen when we have snow. So, wildlife, I think, is a huge factor in this. It needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Strong argument.
And thank you for hearing us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Layla. Next speaker, please.
My name is Matt Meisenheimer. It's spelled M-I-S-E-N-H-I-M-E-R. I also viewed the video from about 6 months ago, and it appeared that most of you knew all the big problems, especially with Fraser Park and the other issues. But I heard someone say that you guys are in a rock and a hard place because there's a state mandate, SB 1383. Has there any, and the penalty for not complying is $10,000 per day, or not complying fully, so $3.6 million a year. Have you contemplated just not following that law at all? Law. I mean, I don't even think it's legal, the law, but I mean, that's $6 per adult in Kern County per year would pay that $3.65 million. And instead of putting it on fees, which then turn into property taxes or liens, and potentially making a lot of people homeless, is really, I think, the best idea is to maybe investigate where this SB 1383 came from. I'm about 99.9% sure it came from foreign entities trying to create law in California. And these would be the UN, the United Nations, and the World Economic Forum in their joint venture called Agenda 2030, and it's also Agenda 21, which became before 2030. And I don't think it's by the people, for the people at all. This is a Senate bill. None of us ever voted on it. And we definitely didn't do the 2/3 vote unless, like, you somehow interpreted those laws to mean just you guys vote on it. I don't see how you could do that. But I think we should not be helping foreign entities create laws in our countries for their benefit. And if we do now, then we're going to have to look at the other things that are coming down the pike from them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Meisenheimer. Appreciate your comments, and thank you.
Okay.
We'll move to the next speaker, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
We need a step stool. My name is Heather Barnes. I'm a resident of Tehachapi. I do not live in the city limits. I live in the county-zoned area. And I would like to invite the supervisors on the podium to step up and meet their mission statement. The mission statement says that we will exceed expectations of the communities we serve, changing the way they feel about government, those who manage it, and the services it provides. This is on your website, and you have a chance to exceed the expectations of your citizens. Clearly, there are numerous issues which mean that this is a bad idea. We've talked about road conditions, we've talked about environment, we've talked numerous times about the financial hardship to thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of community residents. What we haven't talked about is the benefit. Who will actually benefit if this proposal is put through in the other areas outside of these 6 that managed to collect enough signatures? Who comes to benefit? Is there truly a trash problem in other parts of the county? Tehachapi is fairly clean, but who benefits? The trash haulers, who were conveniently on the committee when the proposal was designed. So I'd like to again invite the the supervisors to consider the many different facets of this issue. Clearly, we have an opportunity to work with the community. 10, if not 14 people have stepped forward and said, we are with you. So I invite the supervisors to work with individual municipalities, localities, districts, in order to come up with a solution. After all, the bill was originally coming out of Sacramento saying it was supposed to address food waste and composting. Well, we're pretty good at that in Tehachapi. We don't have much food waste or compost issues in Tehachapi. So I would expect that other districts have similar things. We'd be happy to meet you in the middle, and I invite you to vote no and consider other options that are more unique and better suited to the audience that you serve.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes.
Thank you, gentlemen. And Ms. Perez.
Okay, next speaker, please.
My name is John Hicks. I'm from Tehachapi. I am a retired NASA scientist and engineer who has actually worked in the airborne sciences area. And I wanted to share a little ecological perspective with you on the Earth's atmosphere relative to your concerns for the levels of methane. As you may know, the atmosphere is basically 80% nitrogen, 20% oxygen. The rest are trace gases, including carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, and methane. Carbon dioxide, which has been the big bugaboo here of late, is only 420 parts per million in the atmosphere. And it's actually not a pollutant. It actually makes things green. Methane, on the other hand, keep in mind the carbon dioxide 420. Methane comprises only 2 molecules per million molecules of air out of the atmosphere. And if you take that's all of the Earth's sources, all of the pollution sources, the entire Earth, only 2 molecules per million, okay? And to give you an example, water, the ocean, the rivers, the lakes, wetlands, rice paddies, they produce 40% of the methane on Earth. So to me, it seems that the 2 molecules per million is, given all the expense and the recovery effort, is much ado about nothing, as Shakespeare would say.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Next speaker, please.
My name's Tommy Hastings. I'm from Fraser Park. Just to build on what that gentleman said, some of this stuff is rooted in a proposal from a 2017 study from the Natural Resources for Defense Council. And these people are a pretty extreme environmental litigant group. 2.6% is what the methane gas, what they've equated it to be from food wastes. And these are just some numbers for you guys. You've obviously heard all the hardships and everything. I encourage you guys and hope you vote no to everybody, all, 14 of them that aren't even included here. The hardships alone. But I wanted to touch on something no one else has mentioned. This is something that directly was spoken to me from Mr. Pinero, who I believe works for Mountainside Disposal or Price. The state's going to mandate electric trash trucks. Whether you guys know that or not, I think you're partially aware. And that's going to happen rather quickly. They've already mandated it. The problem is they can't buy them. Nobody can buy them. It's a significant cost. Mountainside Price Disposal acknowledged that it was $30 to $40 more per month So consider this, and for everybody, including the Bakersfield residences and everybody that's been put on this property tax bill or is going to, that you're talking about another potentially $500 a year, and it only goes up from there. So you're looking at that with the $560 per year cost, the $170 for being able to self-haul, like us in Fraser Park, and there's an exemption anyway. And I really question the county's numbers, but you guys are smarter and you got the people that have crunched all this and gone over it. But with 12,464 mailers, I'm just guessing that's 50,000 people. Do 50,000 people really have that great of an impact on this entire program for this SB 1383 with a county of 1 million? I can't believe those 50,000 are enough to push up against the threshold that you guys need. But I'm saddened because I think that the property tax thing has already been visited. I don't know, I didn't read enough into it, but for the folks of Bakersfield and Lamont and Arvin and the people that are already in I guess a control area that's existing. But consider that, and every community has their own little issues, but.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Flores. My name is Chuck Nielsen. I represent the Fairview Ranches Owners Association in Tehachapi. I've been delegated with the authority to speak on their behalf and basically explain a couple of things about our community, that they are a rural community, and being rural as we are, we additionally own all the roads in our community. They're all private roads. We have quite a few challenges when it comes to infrastructure. Just a couple months ago in our community, half of the community was out of power for 3 days because the infrastructure for the electrical was damaged by the waste truck coming in and hitting a particular area every week. We want to know, how would we be compensated for this infrastructure issue, as well as our water company is also mutually owned. We have a lot of damage that we repair from the waste management as well. It's going to increase if we're forced to have these bins come out and also have additional people forced to have these bins that currently go to the landfill. They're already paying for the landfill, they're utilizing it, but they would be forced to have these 3 bins. I've heard cookie cutter approach mentioned a couple of times, but the one thing I do want to put on record is our board was delayed in discovery because our original map that we received did not include us as a UCA. And so if you want me to submit this, I'm happy to do that. We do have everything, and what we want to know also is, we know you can't vote on the fees today because we've successfully protested. However, what happens from this point? Are we forced to have these extra trash cans put out? Are we forced to do something beyond what we're already doing?
We'll go over that for you shortly.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Supervisor Perez has a question.
Thank you. Sir, could you tell me what, sir, I'm so sorry, up here. The plant is blocking me, sorry. What is if you could go to the microphone just so it's on the record. Thank you, sir. What is your position that the date of discovery is?
The date of discovery would have been about 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's all, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Nielsen. And thank you, Supervisor Perez. Next speaker, please.
Greetings all. I'm Gil Efforts from Fraser Park.
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't catch your name.
Gil, G-I-L, Efforts, E-F-F-E-R-T-Z.
Thank you.
From Fraser Park. Most everything that I want to talk about has already been covered, especially about the bears and whatever in Fraser Park, because we have them constantly. Anyway, so basically, real quickly, it says in here that everything is for the fiscal year 2024 to 2025. Is that going to be extended? You have to readdress this problem every year from now on? Just a thought. So, because I mean, every one of the things that all 14 things in here they say the same thing. So, and that's basically what I have right now. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Efforts.
Hi, Jody Kirkove, Kerkove from Tehachapi. I just have two quick notes. One is your public works. That means you work for me and everybody here. But it's really funny that when I'm looking at your presentation, there's over $250, $200 to $250 per year difference in fees. So that sounds like pretty lousy negotiations to me. Why would some communities have 300 and some would have 500? I mean, that's horrible, number one. Number two, again, you work for us. So I don't see how you're doing that. And the third thing is, you said you're just going to write new proposals. I suggest strongly you write new proposals and leave our property taxes out of it. I may have only been here a year and a half, but I'm loud and I'm a hard worker. And I bet you I will outwork you. We're not having it as part of our property taxes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for being here and thank you for listening to all of us. I'm Donna Schmidt-Dieterle from Tehachapi. And I wasn't going to talk, but something that your counselor said over there, he brought up Howard Jarvis. I'm sure he would not be in favor of this. And also, please look at our manner of choice rather than something mandated. We have a choice whether we dig a well for water or we contribute to a water service district. We're not going to have a choice if you pass this universal, whatever it is. But we should have that choice of whether we can opt out of something like this. There are some of us who live alone who may use one trash can for 3 weeks and maybe fill it. And so to have 3 different cans sitting out there, have 3 different trucks going by every week on, like some people said, a private road that we maintain, that we would have to continue to maintain for 3 different trucks going over every week. I appreciate your help. We would like a choice. Thank you.
My name's Jerry Cox. I have 5 houses in Roseman, and I got 3 rental houses. And my renters, they can't. I got low-income renters. They can't handle to raise their rent. You guys already getting me for $642. How you ripping me off on the water bill? The taxes you raised on. Now you're going to hammer us with this. You know, we can't take much more. You know, our money don't go up. You keep putting bills on us, and our money don't go up. We're already eating TV dinners. You know, come on. Back off. We can't take this crap. You know, we really can't. We can't afford to maintain our rentals because the rent's too high. You know, you know what a 16-foot 2x4 cost? Fucking $90. You know what I mean? We can't take this. I paid $8,972 on 1957 houses, you know, for the year. I got to save $1,000 to give to you guys out of all of my rent. I barely get by on getting somebody to help me fix the houses. You know, I can't handle this stuff. And what happened to our individual rights? You know, where are they? Just like she said, why don't we have you know, if we want to do it, fine. If we don't, you know, I mean, what is this, a thing to take our houses or what? Is what you guys are trying to do, take over on our properties or what? When we can't afford the bill? Because the way you're going, we can't keep paying this. What's next? What do you got for us next? I mean, you already got away with the water bill. Now you're going to try to do it with the trash, and then you're going to pay $569. It's another $189 for that.
Thank you, Mr. Cox.
Right? You're going to run me off too, like you did everybody else.
I'm not throwing you off. I'm going to empathize with you.
You're going to run me off like you did everybody else.
No, I'm going to empathize with you because Prices,
get rid of you.
Prices are tough. People are barely surviving. I paid $32. I paid $32 for a quesadilla and a burrito. It was $32. So food prices are high. Rent is high. Water is high. Everything's high. You made a lot of good points. You made a lot of good points, sir. Next speaker. Next speaker.
Good afternoon, board. My name is Victor Olmos, and resident of Roseman. There was, I guess, our voice has been heard that this is not going to go through with the trash cans. We have a lot of retirees, older people, and with two other trash cans, it will be unbearable for a lot of us. When I received the paperwork at my house and through my mail, it was they stated that it was for the environment. And I called them in and they said it was to help the environment. Well, unfortunately, some of these trucks, they pick up the trash. If you look at them after they do the service, and most of these vehicles, they have oil stains, oil everywhere. So I think at this point, if they want to do that, to bring it up to the citizens to fix their toys, and then they can proceed with their project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ramos. Next speaker, please.
My name is Margaret Ponting. I'm from Kern County. Oh my gosh, starvation, loss of homes, bears, oh my. There isn't anything that I can say that you haven't already heard, but there is one thing that I stand for. You guys remind me of the 10 virgins in the Bible. 5 were prepared and 5 weren't. What's the matter with you? What is wrong with you? We are your people. We are like your family, and you're not taking care of us. You're going to be unprepared. Your intelligence needs a lot of heart and soul. I'm almost on the verge of tears because I can't believe what I've heard from these people today, and this is only the second time I've ever been in this building. I can't believe what I'm hearing from these people. What is wrong with you? There are old people that are having problems. You're going to bring this trash truck into areas that you haven't done your homework on? Haven't you done research? You have lots of money at your disposal, and you get lots of money in your yearly salaries. What's the matter with hiring somebody to look into the information about where the trash trucks have to drive? How much money is going to be property taxes? I asked my husband, I said, if we get stuck with this and we have to pay, are we going to lose our home? I have nowhere to go. My husband and I will have to live somewhere else because we can't afford your trash pickup. Come on. We're like your family. Take care of us. You hear these people crying, their voices want to be heard. Please, please do your homework and listen to us, and don't be like those 5 virgins that are left behind and the doors are going to be closed. You're responsible for us.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker, please.
I can't stand in line. My name is Stephen Ponting. I live in Mojave. That was my beautiful wife. Now you know why I married her. She's got the sweetest heart. The Hoover Commission, as you well know if you read the papers, said that 1383 will not work, period. You guys want to go ahead with it and back up the state of California, who completely has lost their mind, you know? It just doesn't make any sense for you to do that. We're part of this, so this means that we won't be charged that $559 every year. But let me tell you something. If somebody, an entity, can get money off your property tax and get a bill put on there, what is to stop Fair Play, every other entity, from doing the same thing? One company's going to go, hey, they do it, I can do it too. So you got to stop the first one. You cannot let that happen. and it's your job. And I hear a lot of people out here say that you don't return their phone calls. I know, I've tried. I don't get the calls back. If you don't want to return the calls, step aside and let somebody else have your job. Please. We got a lot of people out here that are coming up to you saying, hey, we'd like to help. And you haven't acknowledged too many of them. You know, and I know most of them won't get a return call, but you need to pay attention. This is just the people that can get here. There are thousands that can't get here that have the same feeling. You got to pay attention to them. As my wife said, you're supposed to be taking care of us. We put you there. You need to pay attention to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ponte. Next speaker.
Richard Knuckles from Tehachapi. When I first moved to Tehachapi, Ben's Sanitation had a facility where we would drop our trash. It would run up a conveyor, and everything was separated out. And I'm wondering, when did that stop? It seems to me like it was about the time that Waste Management took over and Ben's Sanitation stepped out. I thought that was a really good idea coming from Bakersfield, where I had a gardening business, and I would throw all my grass clippings out in China Grade Loop. And that trash facility in China Grade Loop, they are now collecting the methane from that and doing cogeneration with it, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. But I want to know why in Tehachapi, I know we won, and we worked our rear ends off to do that. I knocked on a lot of doors. and got chased by a lot of dogs. But trash is 24/7. I get it. But what about what we used to have with the transfer station? Something like that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, come on up.
Good afternoon. I'm Julie Gentry from Lake Isabella. As all of you are aware, our community of the Kern River Valley has come together in one voice and said no to every aspect of this mandated trash bill. We've outlined why it won't work, why we don't need it, and why we don't want it. Since our last meeting with you, our property taxes went up again, although our homes are worth less. Go figure. Our homeowners insurance just went up drastically, doubled and tripled in many cases. I just spoke to somebody before this meeting who paid $2,200 a year for their homeowners insurance. They just got a bill for $8,500. We already pay taxes for our landfill on our property taxes. Yet our dump is now charging us fees for everything we bring. After our meeting is when the dump decided, oh, we're going to charge you too, even though we already pay it on our property tax. There's twice already we're being taxed for trash, and every utility bill just keeps going up, and we have no more money to pay for things. We are being forced into more poverty every single day. Yes, it's that serious for us. We, the people, are sick and tired of it. Whether it's federal or state, at what point do we all stand up against what's unfair and wrong? We can stop or change any outrageous mandates or policies if we all stick together. They can only get away with what we allow them to get away with. Public Works rolled over for the state and didn't even think about giving them any pushback or alternatives. Just do as we're told mentality. Yeah, that's the easy way. You don't have to do any work or receive any grief over it. Everyone is so afraid to speak up and push back. Isn't that why our state and our entire country is in the mess that it's in? We say enough is enough.
Thank you.
We cannot afford to sit by and do nothing. And it starts with the local level. We are prepared to fight the state of California to stop this completely if need be. Join us.
Thank you.
Help us. We are asking that you, our elected officials who represent us, and our fellow overtaxed citizens, along with Public Works Department,
Thank you, ma'am.
to be the
Okay.
county that has the
Next
guts
speaker, please. If
to
there's any,
stand up
if there's
for
any next
what's
speaker,
right.
now's the time to come down.
I'm wrapping up.
Please, 'cause just
Okay.
47 seconds over. Let's
Please
go.
be the county that has the guts to stand up for what's right, to take a stand, to fight against tyranny, and tell the state of California no on our behalf.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next speaker, please.
Hello there. My name's Carrie. Carrie like Cary Grant. Park like Fraser Park. I've been a resident of Fraser Park for 20 years. I've never in my life felt so passionate about overturning something or actually gone out and knocked on doors. How many of you people have been to Fraser Park? I know you have, Zach, right? You guys been up there? Have you driven on our dirt roads? Have you taken a right going up Mount Pinos and just gone up the roads? These are very narrow dirt roads. You can barely negotiate 2 cars. I mean, 1 trash truck going up. It's just, you know, you tear the roads up. I mean, we can barely get up the roads with our own cars, you know? And, you know, hitting us with a $600 bill, $559, and just saying, pay up. It's a hatchet job. And you guys shouldn't let this happen. I mean, we shouldn't even be here talking about this. You know, we're the highest taxed state in the union. You all know that. Every day there's a new tax. Oh, we need more. We need this. We need this. You know, Zach, I will commend you on the last recorded meeting that I watched. You did recognize that we have dirt roads that are hard to negotiate. They're incredibly hard. 2 cars can't get up, can't even pass each other, you know? So, you know, I didn't even plan on speaking, but, and Lisa Shredder's been really good about giving us numbers. I want to thank the people at Fraser Park, Mike and Sherry and Jen, that sat out there in the cold collecting signatures. But the one-size-fits-all thing, it doesn't work for Fraser Park. It doesn't work, you know? And, you know, it's 1,681 residents at $559.80. I was doing the math. That's $941,000. Think about it. You just send us a notice and say, we need $941,000 from you people, low-income residents. You know, and I'd like to speak for my neighbor, Jan, who couldn't be here because she's disabled. And she told me, if this goes through, I'll have to move in with my son in Ventura. She's going to lose her house.
Thank you.
So, you know, just,
Thank you, Mr. Park.
just think about that, you know? You know, have a heart.
Thank you. Thanks for coming and sharing that and sharing your neighbor.
I appreciate it.
Okay, next speaker, please. Okay, so seeing that no other further comments, I'm about to close the public hearing, but before I do, does anyone wish to file any more written protests? So this is the last opportunity to do so to be calculated. Any more written protests, now is the time. Okay, then the public hearing is now closed. Madam Clerk, Mr. Champlin, have any more written protests been filed with you during the hearing, and do we need to pause for a recess for further tabulation before we proceed?
Chairman Flores, there have been additional protests filed, and we would request 15 minutes to confer with staff who's been tabulating these through the public hearing.
Okay, so granted. So we'll resume back in 15 minutes. Okay. Okay, at this time, the board is reconvening very temporarily. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn back to closed session to hear an earlier item from this morning. This will allow another 15 minutes for staff to continue to tabulate the votes, and then we'll reconvene in another 15 minutes.
Okay, I will make a motion to adjourn to closed session.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Stand adjourned for 15 minutes.
Oh.
We're reconvening with all board members present for the record. And now we will now address each of the 14 agenda items individually and accept, closed session report. Thank you for that reminder. Ms. Rayson, will you please give us a report from actions taken in closed session?
Thank you, Chairman Flores. Your board just met in the continued item related to closed session number 32. It was the second part on the agenda on item 32. However, there is no reportable action.
Thank you, Ms. Rayson. Okay, so now we will address each of the 14 agenda items individually and accept motions and vote on them individually. So starting with agenda item 9, Kern Valley Universal Collection Area. Mr. Champlin, will you please summarize the written protest results for the Kern River Valley UCA?
Thank you, Chairman. So the summary of agenda item number 9, Kern Valley Universal Collection Area. We received a sufficient number of protests to exceed the minimum threshold for a successful majority protest. In accordance with Proposition 218, the proposed rates cannot be approved. Since the rates cannot be approved, then the establishment of the UCA is not required. And so we would, in this instance, the Public Works Department is requesting to substitute a resolution to confirm the successful majority protest. Prior to this meeting, we had 893 confirmed protests. We have not counted since because we're focusing our efforts on the protests that haven't succeeded yet, but we will come back to your board with a full report of all of the final counts at the next board hearing, but counting additional votes at this time would not change the results. So once again, our recommendation is to substitute a resolution to confirm the successful majority protest for the Kern Valley Universal Collection Area.
Thank you. And then Supervisor Peters is punched in.
Thank you, Chairman Flores. I just wanted to say I know this has been a long, difficult process, and I appreciate the fact that our UCAs were able to be looked at in a way that more accurately represents the smaller communities and allows them to have a voice. And I really want to commend residents from the Kern Valley. I know Ms. Barbie helped organize a lot of this, and it really showed the community involvement and the passion about this. So I would like to make a motion on staff's recommendation.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Please cast your vote.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Okay, that brings us to agenda item number 10, the McFarland UCA. Mr. Champlin, will you please summarize the written protest results for McFarland?
Summary for agenda item number 10, the McFarland Universal Collection Area. We received a sufficient number of protests to exceed the minimum threshold for a successful majority protest. In accordance with Proposition 218, the proposed rates cannot be approved. We received 11 protests prior to this meeting, which exceeds the threshold. And so it is staff's recommendation that your board substitute a resolution to confirm the successful majority protest for the McFarland Universal Collection Area.
Thank you. Do we have a motion on staff's recommendation for a resolution confirming the successful majority protest?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Couch. Second. And second, please cast your vote.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. This brings us to agenda item number 11, Tehachapi Universal Collection Area. Mr. Champlin, will you please summarize the written protest results for the Tehachapi?
A summary of agenda item number 11, Tehachapi Universal Collection Area. We received a sufficient number of protests to exceed the minimum threshold for a successful majority protest, and in accordance with Proposition 218, the proposed rates cannot be approved. Prior to this meeting, we had received 240 protests, which exceeds the minimum threshold to protest this UCA. So therefore, to staff's recommendation for the board to submit a resolution to confirm the successful majority protest for the Tehachapi Universal Collection Area.
Thank you. Supervisor Scribner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to make a couple of comments as well, and these can be applied to any of these universal collection areas that we're going to be considering today. First of all, I want to thank all of the residents that came out from the various areas around the county. Some of you came from quite a distance to be here, and we apologize for the intermissions that we had to take in order to count votes and to finish up an important item that was in closed session to give even more time for staff. And so thank you for being patient and waiting in the audience for us. I wanted to make a few comments that I think are important. I heard some people in the audience criticize our Public Works Department, saying that they rolled over for the state. They didn't give the state any feedback, et cetera. And I know that that isn't the case. There were, on multiple occasions, our Public Works Department communicating with the state of California, explaining to them how these rules that they were mandating us to impose on our citizens were unworkable for various reasons in different areas of the county. And I'm going to ask Mr. Champlin or his staff to give us an idea of how many times we communicated with the state, either objecting to what they were doing or giving them reasons why it wouldn't work. I mean, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 times that we put comments in that were trying to explain to them how their cookie cutter approach from Sacramento was not going to work for a county like Kern.
Supervisor Scrivener, through the chair, amongst thousands and thousands of inquiries and from the state, every agency within the state submitted on this through the rulemaking process. Kern County, Public Works, and different organizations within Kern County had over 600 different objections to this law during the rulemaking process. We have continued throughout the process to work with CalRecycle to get every exemption we can, every waiver for high elevations, for low densities. We've done that in every case that they qualify, and we continue to work with them to this day to find solutions that work for our population.
And the point being is they accepted a fraction of what we submitted as modifications to the program. There are a lot of things about this that are ridiculous. The idea of driving a big trash truck up dirt trails in Frazier Park. I used to drive delivery trucks up there. I know how difficult it is to navigate those roads, especially in the snow. One-way passability for vehicles. Or you look at the bear population in PMC, and the state came up with some arbitrary 4,500 foot elevation rule to exempt areas because of bears. But we know that that certainly isn't going to cover all of the areas. Mr. Hicks, our retired NASA employee, in talking about how ridiculous these methane rules are. Those are objections, of course, that we gave as well. But he raises a very important point. The state is imposing this diversion of organics to reduce methane to fight climate change. They're wanting to fight the weather, and they're willing to put hundreds and hundreds of dollars on the annual either tax roll or hundreds and hundreds of dollars on annual billing, whether it's monthly or whatever, on you in order to achieve that objective. So you have liberals in Sacramento and Los Angeles that are trying to impose a cookie cutter approach on those of us that live in the rural parts of the state. So we are all victims here of Sacramento's policy. So I understand that you are frustrated with us because the rules are coming through us, but we are, as I heard someone say, between a rock and a hard place. Either we're going to get fined from our general fund, potentially, which pays for sheriff and firefighters and parks and libraries and animal services, just to name a few, or we have to pass these costs on to the ratepayers. So that's the position that we're in, and that's the position that you are in. Low-income residents in Boron or Mojave, the prospects of having to pay $560 a year if you're on Social Security making about $900 a month is not a workable situation. $46 a month that equates to means that those folks have to give something up, and it's probably something that's pretty important to them that they purchase each and every month. And so as you are frustrated, and reasonably so, I think your ire should be focused squarely on the state of California rather than those 5 of us here that have done just about everything that we could to give you an opportunity to protest this effectively. We scrapped the large universal collection areas, East Kern, West Kern, Metro, and created these small areas to give you a bigger, stronger voice and a better opportunity to have a successful protest. And so those communities that successfully protested would have never been able to do that if we had not divided these UCAs into smaller areas. And so I think that we should all remember that. On this item that we're on here, item number 11, I'm going to move staff's recommendation that we not impose on the Tehachapi Universal Collection Area because they successfully protested. Do I need to say anything else other than that?
Second.
That's a motion. Second.
Okay, motion and second. Please cast your vote.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Okay, that brings us to agenda item number 12, Mojave Universal Collection Area. Mr. Champlin, will you please summarize the written protest results for Mojave?
To summarize agenda item number 12, Mojave Universal Collection Area, we received a sufficient number of protests to exceed the minimum threshold for a successful majority protest, and in accordance with Proposition 218, the proposed rates cannot be approved. Since the rates cannot be approved, then the establishment of the UCA is not required. Prior to this meeting, we received 547 verified protests, which exceeds the minimum threshold. So it is staff's recommendation that your board substitute a resolution to confirm the successful majority protest.
So moved.
Okay, motion. Just need a second.
Second.
Motion second. Please cast your vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Supervisor Scrivener, let's. It didn't work? Okay. Let's try again.
It needs to work for me because that's mine.
It does. There we are. Okay, hold on. The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. Okay, moving along. Agenda item number 13, Frazier Park UCA. Mr. Champlin, will you please summarize the written protest results for Frazier Park?
Summary of agenda item number 13, Frazier Park Universal Collection Area. We received a sufficient number of protests to exceed the minimum threshold for a successful majority protest. In accordance with Proposition 218, the proposed rates cannot be approved. Since the rates cannot be approved, then the establishment of the UCA is not required. Prior to this meeting, we had 853 verified protests, which exceeds the minimum threshold. So it is staff's recommendation that your board substitute a resolution to confirm the successful majority protest.
So moved.
Okay. We have a motion.
Second.
Motion second. Please cast your vote.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. Okay, it brings us to item 14, Boron UCA. Mr. Champlin, will you please summarize the written protest for Boron?
A summary of the agenda item number 14, Boron Universal Collection Area. We received a sufficient number of protests to exceed the minimum threshold for a successful majority protest, and in accordance with Proposition 218, the proposed rates cannot be approved. Since the rates cannot be approved, then the establishment of the UCA is not required. Prior to this meeting, we received 423 verified protests, which equals the required threshold for a successful protest. So it is staff's recommendation that your board substitute a resolution to confirm the successful majority protest.
So moved.
Okay, motion.
Second.
Okay, please cast your vote.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Okay, that brings us to agenda item number 15, Ridgecrest Universal Collection Area. Mr. Champlin, will you please summarize the written protests for Ridgecrest UCA?
So the summary of summary of agenda item number 15, the Ridgecrest Universal Collection Area. So the resolution before you was to establish the area and set a new 3-cart service level of 240 gallons per unit for all residential units, and an ordinance proposal is to impose the rate of $559.80 per year. The parcels in this area total 2,134. A successful protest is 1,068 protests. We have counted all remaining votes during the time that we've been in this board hearing right now, and we have verified 551 protests. This, given that this one does not have a successful protest, I return to the resolution and ordinance, which is to establish a new area and set a new 3-cart service level for all residential units, and proposal is to impose the rate of $559.80 per year.
Thank you, Mr. Chaplin. Supervisor Peters, would you like to speak on this one?
Yes, please. Ridgecrest is a unique area, especially as it's bordering the city, and they've looked at some different ways of doing this, and I still believe firmly that there's another way we could implement this out there, and that's why I am not in favor of supporting staff's resolution on item 15.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Peters. Is there a motion on staff's recommendation for the resolution establishing the UCA ordinance and setting rates in Ridgecrest? I'll make a motion, since I'm not hearing for motion to adopt staff's recommendation.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
If there isn't a second on that motion, walk me through the consequences or what happens at this point. Because my question will then be a follow-up. The follow-up question will be this. Can you give us an overview of the numbers of the people that have protested successfully and how many households are left that this fee would be imposed upon? And it doesn't have to be just a rough estimate, a rough percentage of it.
Supervisor Couch, through the chair, do you want the answer on the first question first, which is if there's no second?
Yes.
I think that would be a council question.
I don't care which order they come in. We had this many protested, this many are left. What do those numbers look like?
Then I'm going to toss that question back to Mr. Champlin.
Bing, bing.
I don't know, based on that.
I guess where I'm headed with this, just so you know, is it looked like the larger areas are the ones that were successful in their protests. We're going to be left with a relatively few number of households that didn't meet the successful protest threshold, and implementing the fee on them and the program on them. What is that really going to accomplish in the end? If everybody in the county is in, and there's all the UCAs who are approved, people wouldn't like it. I get that. I wouldn't like it. But Cal Recycle would be satisfied. If they're not, if these successful protests were because of the successful protests, what are we doing with all the others? We're not accomplishing anything by implementing all the others. Ridgecrest is the first one that didn't make it, so we're having the discussion now.
Supervisor Couch, in the state's mind, it's a numbers game. The legislators created 1383, and they told the state of California, Cal Recycle, we want you to have 75% diversion of all your organic waste in the state of California. In turn, the state officials crunched the numbers, and they came to the conclusion that in order to meet the goal set forward by them by the legislature, they had to impose a form of, not universal collection, but a form of diversion on all census tracts that are 75 people per square mile or greater. So that's the state's position, that's Cal Recycle's position, is that that's how they're going to get to that mandate from the legislature of the state of California. If the state captures all of these census tracts with that density or higher, then they can accomplish their goal.
I'm in violent agreement with you that makes sense. That's their logic. But we have a substantial number of those census tracts that are not going to be included in the calculation for Kern County. So we're not going to be successful in this effort, and I say this effort, I mean all of them combined, in achieving what Calorie Cycle wanted us to achieve. Is that correct?
You are correct. So the fact that six of...
Okay,
Go ahead.
so let me follow up with, if I'm correct about that, my logic tells me then I'm going to impose a fee of $500 and whatever on somebody who lives in some community that didn't successfully protest, and it's not going to do us any good with Calorie Cycle. So why would I do that?
Supervisor Couch, the process, the state of California process of 218 is set up for this very reason, is to allow people the opportunity to protest anything that's on their tax bill. If we choose not to, if we choose to go outside of the 218 process and not implement programs that don't have successful protests, we don't know what the reaction from the state is going to be. And honestly, at this point, I don't know what the reaction from the state is going to be on the ones that have successfully protested. However, it is my opinion that's in a more tenable position given that there's a 218, successful 218, because we're following state law in that case.
We have a good defense.
And that's why it's our staff's recommendation, because we're looking out for not just the people in this room, we're looking out for all the residents of Kern County, including the ones who are already in the universal collections, and that general fund that could come into question. So that's kind of where we're coming from.
I understand, you know what, and I appreciate that you're in that position, and I appreciate the response, and I'm not trying to paint you as the bad guy, because you're not. You've been given a crummy law, and you're doing your best to implement it. The results of the process, though, so far, are that we're not going to achieve the goal the state wants, even at this level. Not even close, right? So I recognize that you can't really give me a really solid answer, but I just, in my mind, the question is, I don't think I'm achieving anything. Certainly if the supervisor from the district that represents Ridgecrest doesn't want to impose that fee, he knows them better than I do. He better. I don't know why I would second the motion. I understand why the motion was made. You kick off the conversation, right? So I guess what I'm curious about is if we don't implement any of these, and this is the question, obviously, that's hanging out there, the matzo ball. We go back to the drawing board. I know there are, let me ask you this. I know there are programs that you are investigating still and researching that will take some time, but if they do come to fruition, they have some potential to bring us into compliance with 1383. Is that correct or incorrect?
Supervisor Couch, that is correct. We are looking at, within the 1383 guidelines, there are facilities known as high diversion waste facilities. And these are facilities that will source separate all elements of trash. We are looking at technology that's out there. It's early on in this technology for us to be able to adopt something like that, and it's very expensive technology. And so we're moving forward with exploring these options
I'm going to get to that.
We're exploring these options, and the cost is substantial to try and reduce the cost to the consumer if we can, but we're having to vet those new technologies very carefully.
And I think I understood the question that was asked while you were speaking. This timeline of this process started several years ago. More recently, as you've done all this work to get to this point, more recently, you've come across this technology. Technology is constantly evolving, and you've noticed this, and you've begun researching it. So it's not like you knew about this technology 7 years ago when you started down this road. This is a much newer, and there may be multiple options or technologies that you're researching. I don't know all that you do every single day.
Supervisor Couch, I wouldn't say that this is brand new to us. We've known about this, and we've invested money in a consultant to actually create what we call a shovel-ready project. So we're moving forward with that process now. We have a consultant finalizing the design on a facility such as this. We don't have this budgeted in our waste budget right now, and we don't have environmental clearance to place it on any of our landfills. This technology has a price tag of $70 million per location, and that would not suffice for the entire county. So we're looking at a substantial cost to implement this type of program, but it is out there, and ultimately the goal of this type of facility would go from a 3-cart to a possibly 2 or 1-cart system, so we could separate the refuse as it comes into the landfills.
And let me just, you say some things right there that I know enough to be dangerous with this. And I know what you just said is, when you say we'd have to get environmental clearance, that sounds like you file for a permit with somebody and a couple weeks later you're in business. That could take years, right?
Correct. I've spoken with our planning and natural resources director, and she's telling me most likely about 15 months minimum to process a EIR for that type of facility.
Then there's the issue, and nobody wants to hear this, but this is reality. We have franchise agreements and contracts with our contract haulers. And when we tell them to go to a 3-cart system, and then we find some new technology that brings them, we go back to them and we say, hey, we only need 2 carts now. Sounds like something very simple, 3 to 2. It's not. It's a big, big change, and it's a contractual agreement we have for a particular level of service, and then we change it. That's fraught with all kinds of problems. So it's not as simple. I want to impress upon everybody that these things that sound rather simple are anything but, right? Okay.
Thank you.
I'll shut up for a little while.
Thank you, Supervisor Couch. And I'm going to go to CAO. Mr. Zervis, you punched in.
Thank you. Chairman Flores and Supervisor Couch through the chair, I was just going to follow up on comments made by Mr. Champlin in response to your question as well. Why would the board consider voting on these areas that have failed the 218 process? So meaning that there's not enough support to successfully lodge a protest and stop the rate increase from moving forward. And I think Chairman Flores, you made a comment as well that the reason a board would want to consider this is simply about bringing a higher level of compliance with SB 1383. And really the difference between why we would be out of compliance. So being out of compliance because of a successful protest hearing through the 218 process, that is one argument, and that's a different discussion that we would have to have with Cal Recycle and the state, potentially the court, as to why we're out of compliance because of the 218 process being invoked, versus a decision by the board in the case of non-successful 218, to the decision by the board to just simply not move forward with implementing that strategy to bring a higher level of compliance with 1383. Those are two very distinctly different arguments and discussions we would be having with Cal Recycle. I think in both cases we'll be looking to work with Cal Recycle, not knowing the process that they're going to invoke moving forward, but looking for different ways to try to achieve compliance and meet the state goals while doing so in a way that is workable for the different communities that we serve. But I do want to answer Chairman Couch's question and really kind of hopefully explain why those issues are different and why your board might want to consider moving forward with approval in the case of the failed 218 process.
There is a distinction, even though the outcome is the same. Thank you for clarifying that.
Can I make a comment while we're I know this is completely out of line.
Not at this moment, unless the supervisor wants to bring you up. But next in queue is Supervisor Peters, if he wants to.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Flores. First off, I wanted to say, to echo Supervisor Couch's point about thanking staff for their work on this. I know this is a really difficult issue. there's a lot of opinions on this, and we're in a tough position. I do appreciate all the work that's gone into it, and I also appreciate my colleagues up here, especially Supervisor Couch. You guys have brought some really great experience and wisdom to this, and asking some questions to move the conversation along. Has given me a lot to think about. But one question that Supervisor Couch asked at the beginning that I am curious is there a difference fundamentally in? I'm still not of the opinion that this is a workable plan for Ridgecrest. So, is there a difference in whether or not we move forward with a motion and a vote on this, or if I motion proactively to vote this down?
Supervisor Peters, through the chair, there is a difference. Some of this is uncharted territory, just in large part because the 1383 program and the mandates that accompany it are new, and many counties throughout the state are going through similar exercises right now. However, from our review and a legal perspective, when a community or a group has submitted a successful number of successful protests to, and it gets confusing, but to defeat the proposed rate implementation of the rate, that puts the county, I believe, on fairly strong footing with, we are following the constitutional provisions as it relates to Proposition 218 and following what happens when citizens come together and comply with the terms of Prop 218 and submit a successful protest. When the board, or if the board were to take just discretionary action to not approve the proposed UCAs and the accompanying rate increase just in a unilateral way, despite the fact that those areas encompassed by the UCA have not submitted a sufficient number of protests, then that is certainly, it appears more as though the county is intentionally thwarting the 1383 requirements.
Understood.
And again, it's uncharted territory just because this is a new area, but looking at it and thinking it through from kind of a legal perspective.
Okay, thank you to our county council, and that's all the questions I have for now, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Peters, and thank you, County Council and CAO staff for more clarification. I had a question for Josh Champlin. Where are we at in terms of compliance for 1383 at the current moment? If you can give me a percentage.
Chairman Flores, so prior to this meeting, with all the commercial that we have already implemented with the metropolitan Bakersfield areas, we were roughly at 80% compliance with the state's program. Depending what happens here today, we could still be at that same level, or, I mean, but that's where we are at this point.
So we're
We're just over 80, I think.
Okay, 80 now, and we could very well be at 80 after this is over, even with some of the other 8, the last 8. So the first 6, I think we have a defensible position. Should we go to court and Cal Recycle cracks the whip? And just for the record, this is a bad bill. 1383 is terrible, and that's why people say, "Well, we're moving to Texas." This is proof in the pudding of a bill why people move to Texas, and I totally understand. And it's terrible because the California dream is now a nightmare. Having said that, I have to look at, there's fierce advocates here for their respective districts, so they get my utmost respect for the questions they've asked and posed, and that's what this board does. So I have to be a fierce advocate for my district and the general fund as well. So what are some potential scenarios should we stay at 80%? What are the fiscal ramifications for our county? My district's paying for this. I'm paying for this. I don't like it. I want my banana peel to go wherever it wants to go. I don't want to put it in 3 different receptacles, but my District 3 constituents and District 5 constituents, they're paying this. And so what are the fines to the county, a yearly amount? Secondly, once we establish that, I don't like first of all, I don't like the law, but I don't like the equal application of state law on the county of Kern, that we pick and choose sections of the county that your constituents have to pay it, you have to pay this, you have to abide by state law, but you all over here, you don't have to pay it, you don't have to abide by it. That's a big slippery slope. That's a big equality issue. That's another issue for the courts and God knows whom. But I'm not faulting representatives. They're being advocates. So I'm being an advocate on a different side for my constituents. Because if we have to start paying fines and $10 million a year, then that is services that are cut, that is homeless encampments, that is fire, that is police. And it's also unfair taxation because we're paying for it. My people are paying for it. And if we're going to subsidize others from the general fund, we're going to subsidize my constituents too because they're paying for it. That's not a criticism to you. I'm just speaking my mind. But if you can address the fines, and then we can call for a vote.
Chairman Flores, I think it is important to note that we have a corrective action plan with the state of California, and we're supposed to come into compliance by March of 2024. Clearly, based on the first 6 items in this tonight, we're going to be out of compliance. It's by the community coming together and successfully protesting this. But in the mind of the state, that doesn't matter. We're not going to be in compliance come March of 2024. That's the fact right now. As far as fines are concerned, we don't know if they will impose fines on us simply because we protested it, but we'll be out of compliance. And the law says that the state may fine agencies that are not in compliance with the law. Now, the range, there's several tiers, and the range is, the least amount is $500 a day up to $10,000 a day. So do the math, up to $3.6 million a year, the maximum that we could be fined if the state so chooses.
Thank you.
But we don't know because we have to go back to the state after this meeting. We have to have these discussions with them.
Thank you. And the Prop 218 process is fundamental safeguard for taxpayers. And these people worked very hard knocking on doors, and they got the requisite amount. So kudos to them. They did it. And I think we're on strong legal ground to fight, Cal, recycle, and defend those. Oh, go ahead.
I did want to point out that in the rulemaking process, agencies throughout the state have asked this question: isn't this an unfunded state mandate? Everybody asked it. We asked it multiple times. And the answer from the state every time was, this is not an unfunded state mandate because your local agency has the jurisdiction to put these fees on your people. That was their answer. That's how they were going to find the money. That's how they're always going to get the money to pay for this program. So I do agree with you. With these successful protests, it puts us on good footing to say, is it now an unfunded state mandate? Because the people have said that they can't pay it. So I just wanted to make that point.
Thank you. And Supervisor Couch, did you punch it again? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm trying to do the math here off of the one chart that you sent out on Friday, but I don't think that's up to date. Do you have an up-to-date chart? I think it was the one you showed earlier today that added an area that had successfully protested, because you had 6 as of last week. Now there's 7? 6, okay. Go back to your statement earlier, or we're at 80% compliance. With the remaining as yet approved UCAs, just the ones that are left, and the numbers that are included in those each UCA, how much does it move the needle on the 80%? What do we, for the benefit of the public, what are we trying to get to, and how far does that, what's left, how far does it get us? If you could figure that out.
I don't have that readily available, Supervisor Couch. It's a complicated equation because we have to factor in the commercial into that calculation too, and how they factor into the numbers and how they're kind of calculated differently.
I know you don't like to venture an estimate.
In general, I would say it's not going to move the needle very far. If I had to make a broad statement, you're going to get a few percentage points out of it if we were to pass the remaining UCAs that haven't been voted on so far.
Thank you. CAO, would you like to mention?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. I was going to comment on the unfunded state mandate argument that Mr. Champlin came back and spoke to, because I think it's relevant when we talk about the reason behind the being out of compliance. And we will argue, especially for those that if we're getting fined because of compliance with the 218 process that doesn't allow us to be in compliance, and we will make that argument regarding an unfunded state mandate, and we will fight to avoid any of those penalties. With respect to other penalties that may be levied on the county, I just want to comment that those penalties, and really any penalties that we get from Cal Recycle, will have to come from the county's general fund. So they won't, they don't come from the refuse fund. They don't come from the ratepayers that pay for trash service. They have to come from the county's general fund. That does obviously directly impact resources. So we're talking about specifically the discretionary revenue of the county, which totals about $400 million a year in total. That's where we pay for sheriff's deputies, the lion's share of them, the district attorney's office, a number of other vital services, code compliance, and more. So that's where we'll see the financial impact at the county if fines are levied on the county. And it is an ongoing, as you heard, up to $10,000 a day. So it doesn't end at a year. I mean, it could be out there until some kind of plan is worked out with the state to appease them and bring us into compliance, or for them to change the regulations to accommodate something like a successful 218 protest that's not foreseen in the legislation right now.
Thank you. No, this is truly uncharted territory. So thank you, Mr. Zervis. Okay, bring it back to our board. I'm just going to, if there's no further, Ms. Raison.
Thank you, Chairman Flores. I'd like to go back to, I think it was one of Supervisor Couch's first questions, if we understood it correctly, when he asked for a percentage related to Ridgecrest and the number of votes and where that would put us.
I know we're on the Ridgecrest item, but
Yeah.
I was thinking more generally about lumping them all together, all the ones that have successfully protested, all the ones that have not.
Okay, so that number we haven't figured out, but our math, and I know Mr. Champlin has got his phone out and looks like he's crunching numbers too, but I'll have Mr. Deputy Hall explain why he thinks that the 80% compliance that we are currently in would go up perhaps as much as 10% if those areas that haven't had a successful protest were to become part of the Universal Collection Agency, if that's all right.
Tonight, but the verdict's still out on that. We'll see if we get to 90. But thank you for the clarification. Any more comments from the board or staff before I call the question? So far, there's just one motion. Okay, seeing none, last chance for second. Okay. Motion dies for lack of second. We'll move to our next item. Item number 16. This is the Rosamond Universal Collection Area. Mr. Champlin, will you please summarize the written protest results for Rosamond?
Okay. Summary of agenda item number 16, the Rosamond Universal Collection Area. The proposal was to establish an area and set a new 3-cart service level of 240 gallons per unit for all residential units. And the proposed ordinance to impose a rate of $559.80 per year. In this area, there were 4,244 parcels. A successful protest in this UCA would need 2,123 protests. We have concluded with tabulating all additional protests for Rosamond, and Currently, there are 661 confirmed verified protests for Rosamond. So it is staff's recommendation to establish an area and set a new 3-cart service level for all residential units and impose the rate of $559.80 per year.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chaplin. Is there a motion on staff's recommendation for the resolution establishing the UCA?
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Sure.
Rosamond and Ridgecrest are essentially identical in their issues. These are rural desert towns where the residents are accustomed to self-hauling. And as we are already going to have to revisit the Ridgecrest area in light of not moving forward there, presumably looking for alternatives to providing the service in the area. I believe that the city of Ridgecrest has adopted a every other week pickup for trash, where they're picking the organics up every week, but the trash, presumably now not having wet materials, et cetera, mixed in with that trash stream, those being in the organics, that reduces the price because it cuts the service frequency in half for the trash. Supervisor Peters, I'm looking to you to determine if that's the case or not. That is what I heard, I believe, from Mr. Strand, the city manager.
Yes, that's correct.
So in light of that, I'm not prepared to move forward with Rosamond either, for the very same reasons that Supervisor Peters articulated, that there must be another way for us to try to come into compliance. So we're going to be having these discussions with the state in light of the 6 UCAs that had the successful protests. I'd like to have that discussion in regard to the Rosamond area as well.
Okay. Thank you, Supervisor Scrivener. Any comments or discussion from the board? Okay, so this will just be procedural. Then I'll make a motion so we can get through with this. Okay, seeing none. Okay, we'll move to our next item. Motion fails. This brings us to item 17, Arvin Universal Collection Area. Mr. Champlin, will you please summarize the written protest results for Arvin?
A summary of agenda item number 17, Arvin Universal Collection Area. The resolution is to establish an area and set a new 3-cart service level for 240 gallons per unit. The proposed ordinance is to impose the rate of $368.64 per year. There are 89 parcels in this UCA. A successful protest would require 46 protests, and we have received 0 protests. So it is staff's recommendation that you establish the area, set a new 3-cart service level, and impose the rate of $368.84 per year.
Thank you. Okay, motion on staff's recommendation. Okay, motion fails for lack of a second. Agenda item 18, Delano Universal Collection Area. Will you please summarize the results for written protest results for Delano UCA?
A summary of agenda item number 18, Delano Universal Collection Area. The resolution is to establish an area and set a new 3-cart service level or 240 gallons per unit on all residential units and impose a new rate of $528.96 per year. There are 120 parcels in this universal collection area. A successful protest requires 61 protests, and we have received 0 valid protests for this UCA. So it is staff's recommendation to establish the area and set a new 3-cart service and impose the new rates of $528.96 per year.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Champlin. Okay, motion on staff's recommendation. Okay, motion fails. Agenda item 19, Northwest Metro Universal Collection Area. Mr. Champlin, will you please summarize the written protest results for Northwest Metro?
Summary of agenda item number 19, Northwest Metro Universal Collection Area. The proposal is to establish an area and set new 3-cart service level of 240 gallons per unit and impose the new rates of $528.96 per year. There are 29 parcels in this UCA, and successful protest requires 16. We received 0 protests in this area, so it's staff's recommendation to establish the area with the service level of 240 gallons per unit and impose a rate of $528.96.
Okay, motion on staff's recommendation. Okay, motion fails. Agenda item number 20, Outer Metro UCA. Will you please summarize the written protest results for Outer Metro?
Summary of agenda item number 20, Outer Metro Universal Collection Area, proposals to establish an area and set a new 3-cart service level, 240 gallons per unit. The proposal is to impose the new rate of $368.64. There are 71 parcels in this UCA. A successful protest requires 37, and we have received 0 protests. So it is our staff recommendation to establish the area, set the new 3-cart service level, and impose the new rate of $368.64.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Champlin. Motion on Universal Collection Area for Metro Universal, Outer Metro. Okay, motion fails. Agenda item number 21, Outer Taft Universal Collection Area. Will you please summarize the written protest results for Outer Taft UCA?
Summary of agenda item number 21, the Outer Taft Universal Collection Area. The proposal is to establish an area and set a new 3-cart service level of 240 gallons per unit and impose new rates of $528.96 per year. There are 67 parcels in this UCA, and a successful protest requires 35. We have received 1 protest for this area, and it is so it is staff's recommendation to establish the area and set new 3-cart service level and impose a new rate of $528.96 per year.
Thank you, Mr. Chaplin. Motion on Outer Taft UCA. Motion fails. Agenda item 22, Shafter-Wasco Universal Collection Area. Will you please summarize the written protest results for Shafter-Wasco?
The summary for agenda item number 22, Shafter-Wasco Universal Collection Area. The proposal is to establish the area and set a new 3-cart service level of 240 gallons per unit and impose a new rate of $528.96 per year. There are 86 parcels in this UCA. A successful protest requires 44, and we've received 1 protest. So it is staff's recommendation to establish the area and set a new 3-cart service level and impose the new rate of $528.96 per year.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chaplin. Motion on Shafter-Wasco. Motion fails. And that concludes the public hearings for all the solid waste UC collection area agenda items. So having no additional items to consider, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn Monday, December 18th.
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you. We're adjourned.